It seems like a pretty consistent positive benefit if you are trying to enhance satiety to a meal. It's just slowing down a little bit. Other tips I usually give people, aside from eating more slowly, would be avoiding really hyper palatable meals while you're dieting, structuring your meals with plenty of protein, plenty of fiber, plenty of water content. And when you do that, when you have high protein, high fiber, high water content, you're usually going to find that the energy density of the meal tends to be pretty low. And then just including plenty of unprocessed or minimally processed foods, which again, if you're including a lot of unprocessed or minimally processed foods, you're more likely to include plenty of foods with lower energy density and with harder texture. And that's not a hard and fast rule. You can find exceptions to that. But if you are constructing a diet that has a lot of unprocessed food or minimally processed, and what you're going to find is a lot of items in there with low energy density and harder texture. So you're going to be chewing more. It's going to be more bites per meal. It's going to slow down the rate of eating. So there are a lot of things we can focus on if we're trying to increase satiety. Those are the ones that I focus on when it comes to just what you're putting on your plate. But one other thing I encourage people to consider is adopting more of an acceptance-based approach to hunger. So if you're embarking on a weight loss diet, or you're trying to maintain a reduced body weight, you kind of know going into that hunger might be an issue. It might be something that you are going to experience and have to work through. And so there's really two ways to approach that. If you want to kind of dichotomize it, one would be, I am waging war on hunger and I need to fight this every step of the way. It is a rejection of hunger. It is kind of classifying and internalizing hunger as being an objectively negative thing that you must fight against and hopefully overcome and kind of defeat. But if you adopt a more acceptance-based approach, it's just a shift in mindset. And there's some interesting research showing this to be a pretty effective strategy when it comes to experiencing hunger in the context of dieting. But the idea is that you are accepting hunger as part of the process. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be excited about it and enjoy hunger when it's happening, but it's a completely different mindset where you're focused on acknowledging that hunger, experiencing it, not forcing it to go away, not, waging war on that hunger, but just kind of accepting that as part of the process and trying to reframe that. And if you dig into it and you take this acceptance-focused approach to hunger, you can find yourself almost looking for a bit of a silver lining there, right? So if you are dieting and you notice some hunger, the first thing you can recognize is, okay, this is present, and I know that it's not permanent. It's going to come and go when I eat and fast, and, periods between meals, it'll come and go. So it's not permanent. It's not going to be here forever. It's not something that necessarily requires immediate action. And it also could potentially be indicative of the fact that I'm generally on the right track here. I'm in an energy deficit, and hunger is one clue that here I am, eating a lower calorie intake, which is compatible with my goal, whether it's weight loss or maintenance of a reduced body weight. So it's not that I'm saying, the initial question was about, fat and satiety. It's not that I'm saying, there's nothing we can do about satiety, because I think there are a lot of things when it comes to satiety and hunger that we can focus on, which can be quite helpful, whether it comes to how we construct a meal or how we view hunger and satiety in general. But a lot of times the question does end up being fat versus carbs go, or is protein actually satiating? And I think those are, I understand where the questions come from, but I think if we dig deeper, we can ask more nuanced questions. And when we do that, we get answers that are very practical, very actionable, and a lot more helpful than just focusing on macronutrient breakdown.